What you're about to see are a series of clips that demonstrate the impact that a positive mental attitude can have on a person's well-being. In the 1970s, there was a famous experiment carried out by Harvard University, where a group of men in their 70s were taken to a house and made to fend for themselves. The idea was to see how they rose to certain challenges and how attitudes can affect our well-being. In 2010, the BBC produced a series based on the original Harvard experiment. They invited Kenneth Kendall, Dickie Bird, Liz Smith, Lionel Blair, Sylvia Sim, and Derek Jameson to live in the house together for a week. Then they watched exactly what happened.
In 1975, these 6 famous faces were all in their heyday. 35 years on, time is taking its toll, and they want to see if it's possible to turn back the clock.
I'm wondering what this particular experiment can do for me now. I should turn into some kind of Superman.
I'm hoping that it improves my memory.
I can't see how it will work, but I would like to be able to walk, to be independent, to be able to go out on myself.
I'm Michael Mosley. I'm actually running this whole experiment.
Before the experiment begins, the BBC's man of science, Dr. Michael Mosley, geriatrician Professor Ian Philp, and neuropsychologist Dr. Catherine Loveday are carrying out a battery of tests on the volunteers.
Very good.
It's normal, isn't it, to shrink?
The gaps, particularly in your spine, compress.
From memory to balance, flexibility and walking speed, each test measures different physical and mental faculties known to deteriorate as we get older.
I like this kind of thing.
Oh, well, that's
because I need some stimulation, you see, because my brain is dying.
These exact same tests will be repeated in a week's time to see if the experiment's been a success.
If I walk more than half a mile, I'm shattered. I put it down to old age.
But the big question is, can the power of mind over body make a difference to aging? But it's not just about retro decor. The shag pile carpets and steps are also designed to make it a difficult environment, to challenge them physically and mentally.
There's a lot of really interesting research with rats. I'm not sure how many people will like to be compared with rats, but if you put them in an environment which is rich, stimulating, and also difficult, they live significantly longer. They, in fact, live a third longer than ordinary rats. The environment matters, and it shouldn't be a bland environment. It should be one which is full of challenges.
Now, we're not for a second suggesting that people with PBC are rats. In fact, most of the research carried out points out that only nice people get PBC. On a more serious level, research has shown that a more active mind prolongs life expectancy. So knowing this, do we choose to ignore it? Or do we choose to lead a more active life in order to affect positive change?
What do you think that we should expect from the first day, Alan, you having obviously been through this before?
You'll see it in their eyes, their posture, changes in their cognitive abilities, how quickly they speak. In the original study, this all happened very quickly.
So why are you reenacting this study now?
There is a stunning statistic which shows that for the first time ever, there are more people who are over 80 than there are people under 16 in Britain. And that means there is a huge group, and if we can do anything to improve the quality of their life, it's got to be fabulous.
Whilst to begin with, most of the comments focus on age. And though the participants here are celebrities, we all face the same issues: mood, fatigue, dexterity, and energy. In many areas, the original experiment surpassed what the scientists expected.
Harvard professor Ellen Langer conducted the original study on which this experiment is based. A leading expert on the psychology of aging, she's here to see if we can repeat her miraculous results.
We had improvements in cognitive abilities, physical strength, vision, hearing. In fact, even at the end, there was one man who was able to give up his stick. I played touch football with these men at the end, when at the beginning it looked like they might not even be able to live through the week.
So, back to our 2010 experiment. Let's see who arrives and what they bring.
First to arrive are entertainer Lionel Blair.
It's South Folk.
Actress Liz Smith.
Hello, you. Lovely to see you.
Wow.
And former newsreader Kenneth Kendall.
Hysterical. Was this really like this in the 70s? Honestly.
Can I have a kiss? Yes. Come and get it.
Liz and Lionel obviously know each other. Oh.
18 months ago, Britain's favourite nana, 88-year-old Liz Smith, was consigned to a wheelchair.
There's no doubt. Do you fancy a coffee or something?
I do fancy a coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. Within 24 hours, I had 3 strokes. Yeah. And they're very, very sudden and very, very unexpected. That made me suddenly realise that anything can happen to you when you get old. Unexpectedly, you see. It's not funny when it happens.
Following the strokes, Liz announced her retirement from a career which really took off in 1975.
That was the turning point of my life. And by 1975, I was working every day on something. Oh, it was glorious.
What was that last night?
You what?
Last night? What was it?
What was what?
That cheese.
It was cheese.
Liz now lives in a warden-assisted home. She's reliant on a wheelchair to go out, but can manage short distances with 2 sticks. She'd love to be able to get around with just one.
I would like to be able to walk, to be independent, to be able to go out on myself. I should be living with a lot more buzz, really. So that's what I miss, buzz. That's why I find it dull being here, really. I wish I was in the middle of all that right now.
So I'm going to give you
In her tests, Liz proved to be recovering well from her strokes.
So they're not carting me away today, not today. Men in white coats.
No.
But her lower body has deteriorated dramatically.
And what I'd like you to do is sort of start there, walk there, and really see how far you can cover in 6 minutes. She did keep going for about 5 minutes before she stopped. She managed 50 metres.
Very unsteady. She's reached a critical threshold, and I'm really keen to see during the week that she goes on with that.
I mean, she's at serious risk if she doesn't get out of her chair and walk. She's at serious risk of basically losing strength in her legs. She doesn't use it, she's losing it. She needs to change.
Look, there's a nice chair there.
I'll sit down there.
There you go, let me help you.
Achieving her goal of walking with 1 stick by the end of the week will be a real challenge.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you.
I'm going to do the same.
Do you need the same? Here, hold on to me.
This is Kenneth. Now, Kenneth, you can see him moving somewhat tentatively. He fell in the bath this morning, and, ooh, blimey, he's sort of sunk even lower into the chair, hasn't he?
Isn't it hideous?
Did we really have this?
No.
Was this cheap? I never had this.
No, I never had this either.
Derek, are you hungry, lad?
Next to arrive are actress Sylvia Sims, former tabloid editor Derek Jameson, and umpiring legend Dickie Bird. They still have no idea what they're walking into or the challenges ahead.
Oh, look at you! What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm Sylvia.
Hello, Precious.
Oh, Maiden over. Just a moment.
There we are. I'm Derek Jameson.
Does anyone snack?
24.
I can't get out of the chair. Listen there.
Have a look round.
Liz Smith, as I live and breathe.
While the others get to know each other, umpire Dickie Bird wanders off by himself.
It's a big kitchen, isn't it? It's a big kitchen.
See, it's interesting, Dickie lives alone, his sister looks after him and things like that. I think one of his issues is likely to be loneliness, and I'd love to see how he comes along during the week and how he gets on with the others.
At 77, Yorkshireman Dickie has never married and lives an increasingly solitary life. A series of health scares have knocked his confidence, and he can go days without leaving his home.
In the last 17 months of my life, I've had a new knee replacement, I've had a stroke, and then I've had this problem now with my heart. And I think it's my willpower and my faith, strong faith in the Lord. I am a Christian. What's put me through? I'm honest. I've a lump in my throat. I've a lump in my throat now. Yeah. But still, I'm still here.
Dickie was awarded
Yeah.
an OBE for his services to
Yeah.
cricket, and his home is a shrine to his glittering career.
I was 50 years in cricket, you see. Now, when you retire, it's a big wrench. It's a big wrench, but you cannot stop time. That's one thing you'll never stop. It's amazing how you forget things. You go upstairs, and I say, what have I come up here for? I've come up for something. And I come back down the stairs, and then I remember, and go back up the stairs again. Oh, I forget things.
Aha, the PBC moment. Well, we all know how those go. Now, as you watch the next clip, watch out for the negative language used. Does that have any effect on the situation?
Michael and Ellen have deliberately asked them to carry their own bags, just like they would have in 1975. For Dickie, the fittest volunteer, it's not a problem. But for 80-year-old Derek, the least fit, a heavy case is a rude awakening to what the experiment demands of them: independence.
You don't seriously think that Derek Jameson, 80 years of age, is going to carry this up those stairs? It'll kill me.
It's a very, very difficult balance, isn't it? Because you want to help if you can and be polite if you can. But
You can be helped to death.
you can, yeah. And then you put your feet up, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Somebody should congratulate him when he gets to the top of the stairs.
I said I couldn't do this, but nobody took a blind bit of notice.
Yeah.
Did you what he just
I
said?
did, exactly.
And
Oh, that's destroyed me.
It's taken Derek over 2 minutes to climb just 14 steps. Michael wants to explain in person why no one answered his calls for help.
I shouted out several times, I
know.
can't do this.
Sadly-
Nobody took the slightest bit of notice.
That is part of the task. Because one of the things we're trying to teach you is independence, one of the important things that people... Sorry, that was a task.
Independence, Michael, if you haven't got the bloody physical energy at the age of 80, what's that got to do with independence?
But the point is you did, because you got it up the stairs. You didn't believe you could get it up the stairs, but you did get it up the stairs.
That's true, yes. You're right.
You
there.
could, obviously,
Shows
have
you
taken
don't.
some of the things out of it. and
What
taken it in 2
Ellen was
stages.
saying, if you think you can't do it, then
You
you
can't.
can't. But if you think you can do it, you can.
And that's why I'm here now, because you did it. You should actually be patting yourself on the back.
Yeah,
well done.
I'm glad,
Round one.
glad I passed the test.
While Derek taps away, actress Sylvia Sims is still struggling up the stairs with her bags. At 76, she may be the youngest, but this task is taking her the longest time. As with Derek, Michael and Ellen will not come and help. If she's to reach her bedroom, she'll have to carry her bags alone.
it's too easy to have everybody take care of us, and it comes at a great cost.
I can't do this.
Oh! Where do I go?
Christ. I'm exhausted. If I lay down, I would go to sleep straight away. Every bit of me is aching and tired, and I'd like to not feel like that. This is bloody stupid. Really, really stupid.
You'll have noticed the language used by both Derek and Sylvia. They both focus on the word can't, and hopefully you saw the effect that had on them. As an aside, take a look at the next clip which demonstrates just how much language can affect us.
Our first experiment is about a psychological phenomenon called priming. Every day we absorb thousands of messages from the world around us, which have a profound subconscious influence on how we behave. This is priming. Psychologists have claimed that these messages can even influence how old we feel. Michael wants to investigate this claim and has asked UCL psychologist Daniel Richardson to restage a famous experiment in priming.
Morning.
They'll be asking a group of students to complete a word puzzle game.
Their job is to flip these over, they're just like big fridge magnets, and make a sentence from those. Key to the experiment is that there's something hidden in all of these words that will hopefully activate their concept of old people.
Michael wants to test if simply exposing the volunteers to words associated with the elderly, such as wise and alone, actually make them behave as if they're old themselves.
And then they think the experiment is over. We say, go off, you've got to sign one more form. But actually, that's when the experiment begins from our perspective. Because they leave this door, and then we time how long it takes them to walk down that corridor. And our hope is, because your stereotype of old people is that they're slower and doddery and frail, and you yourself will act slightly more like an old person.
The volunteers will be tracked over a distance of 20 meters with invisible lasers, allowing the team to pinpoint precise differences in their walking speed before and after the test.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. This is going to be marvellous. Okay, could we have Edith, please?
This is the testing room. Do come in. So, begin whenever you're ready.
But will these elderly-sounding words have any effect? The first volunteer isn't quite influenced the way the team were expecting. She seems to bound up the stairs.
No real difference between going out and going in?
Luckily, there are more volunteers lined up.
Okay, Michael, if you can take a seat in the chair in the middle of the room, please.
And soon, an interesting trend starts to appear.
How was that?
He was just ever so slightly slower.
Oh.
This volunteer walked along the corridor 10% slower after the test.
So, as you know, this is a test of your language proficiency.
It took this volunteer 20% longer to walk out.
It really does make you think the extent to which your approach to older people and how you see them is unconsciously being projected.
Yeah, and of course, old people experience this. So when you walk into the room and you meet someone who's elderly and you start thinking about them, you will slow down a little bit. So their experience will be of people slowing down whenever they meet them.
Right.
So your behavior feeds back to them as well. So as you know, this is a very simple test of language proficiency.
But to really test their theory that we're influenced by the words we use, Michael and Daniel now want to investigate if there's an opposite effect for youthful-sounding words. Will these volunteers be racing down the corridor after their tests?
Yep, he went in perky, he came out perky.
This volunteer walked out 10% faster than when they walked in.
Pretty fast going in, and he's even faster going out.
The final volunteer's walking speed increased by 15% compared to her entrance.
She did a little sprint as she came down the corridor at the end. It's so unlikely that basically a few words planted here and there could actually influence how you think about people.
Hello, thanks for coming back.
The experiment seems to prove that just a few words can have a direct influence on how we behave.
The next section deals in more detail with the challenges facing each volunteer and shows the different ways in which they overcome them. And remember, it takes different strokes for different folks, but we can all find something to keep us more positive in mind and in body.